Oh, have we gotten any more new complement board members?
Not since
The last two board, the
The last
last
two.
two times I was down there, I told them how important it was for us to compliment them.
yeah, I'm gonna keep beating that drum next week too. All right. Yeah. All right, everyone, if you could all take your seats, please. We're gonna get started soon. Here is fine.
No, you're on.
Euron is out. He just had a child, so he is
Oh,
out.
mazel tov.
And then I don't know where Ankur is, but all right, everyone, if you could take your seats, please. We're gonna get started soon. All right. Hello, everyone. I am Brad Sherburne, the chair of Manhattan Community Board 5. We will begin tonight with our public. Oh,
It's a call to order, yeah.
I think we gotta open up. All right, good. Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Brad Sherburne, the chair of Manhattan Community Board 5. We will begin tonight with our public hearing. I will hand it over to our first vice chair, Todd Shapiro. Take it away, Todd.
Okay, welcome, everybody. I'm gonna do the public session. The public hearing of Manhattan Community Board 5 is what we're about to commence. I'm Todd Shapiro, as you just heard. I'll be your chair for this session. During the public hearing, members of the public are invited to speak for 2 minutes per person on the subjects set forth in the agenda for this public hearing or on any topic that relates to the affairs of the community district. If you would like to address the board before it votes on any matters tonight, now is your opportunity to do so. Although there will be a public session during the full board meeting later, that public session will be at the end of the meeting, after all of the votes have taken place. So if you want to address the board on any matters before it votes tonight, now is your time to do so. If you'd like to speak during this public hearing, please use the raise hand button now. When you are recognized, we will allow you to speak, but you must unmute yourself. In order for you to be heard, you will have to unmute yourself. Let's not forget. Okay, we'll begin the public hearing with the first person. So, do we have anybody online? No, you see anybody online?
Yeah, let's do the interval.
Okay, we're going to do the people present on site first. So we're going to start out with Sin Ray Lee. Sin Ray, come on down. Or come on up.
Podium up there.
At the podium up there, Sin Ray.
I know you guys can't see me, I think, but it's no matter. Hi, everyone. I'm Sinray. I'm the community engagement specialist at the Independent Budget Office. And I'm just here today to introduce our agency. Can I get a show of hands? Who knows IBO? Or, okay, cool. A handful of people, but a lot more people who don't, which I love. Yeah, so the Independent Budget Office is a New York City agency. But when I say independent, I mean that we are truly nonpartisan. We don't report to the mayor or any other elected officials. Our function is to provide data-driven insights regarding New York City services through the budget. So we put out year-round reports on various aspects of New York City's data. But our primary function is, and our charter mandated function is to put out 3 annual reports regarding the New York City budget in alignment with the mayor's major budget documents, i.e. the November plan, the preliminary budget, and the executive budget. And the adopted budget, you know, we take a look at it as well. Aside from the year-round budget reports and our budget reports, we also do trainings with community boards. and other members of the public. We recently did, in collaboration with the CEC, the Civic Engagement Commission, my bad, budget basics, to kind of give new board members a better understanding of how to look at the budget. I think in moving forward, we're going to try and do more of that. Yeah, so as the new community engagement specialist, I would love to hear more from your community boards about what kind of data reporting you guys would like to have from IBO. Some examples of reports that we've put out recently include HRA staffing and how their caseloads are unbalanced and causing delays in processing applications. There will be a report coming out about the MTA capital plan. There will be a report coming out regarding Willets Point development, which I guess not really concerning you guys, but just an example. We recently published our education indicators, which look at student demographics, student achievement, principal and teacher demographics. So we really have a team of experts that cover the gamut of all municipal policy. Oh, my time is up.
Okay,
So yeah,
2 minutes has arrived.
thank you. Oh, and also I can type my email out in the chat if that's
Yeah,
okay.
Put it in the chat and everybody will see it. Thank you so much, Sinray. Okay, moving on. We've got CB5's own Charles Nye. Charles, why don't you go to the podium? Could somebody help Charles? Thank you, Sach.
Hello. I'm very concerned about the amendments to the bylaws, and Vice Chair, I think it's very important for everyone to be aware that the use of a paper ballot is really not acceptable, as the only way to find out about how an individual member has voted is through a Freedom of Information request, which will be time consuming. I think it's really important for transparency that people know how individual members are voting. And not just that, but what comparison study has been taken to even know that cutting out a roll call vote would save any time to the length of a meeting. The analogy I can think of, Vice Chair, is, you wouldn't take away a prayer list out of a church sermon just to cut down the sermon. No, you would cut down, how long the preacher is talking. And what's happening is actually it's the business sessions that sometimes are taking a little bit too long. And I think, with all due respect, if they were a bit more focused, that would be the best way to go, instead of taking out the roll call. And, everywhere else, including the US Congress, has a roll call. And they have many more members than us, and they don't complain about the length of their sessions. And it's really important for our community to be aware of how each individual member is voting. So I really hope that there can be a rethink on the use of paper ballots, and I hope, Vice Chair, that more people will show their opposition to paper ballots. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. Okay. We've got,
Lisa Wader just walked in, so.
Oh. Okay, we've got Lisa Wager. Go on up, Lisa. It's your turn. A friend from FIT will be with you in a second.
Hi, everyone in real life. Welcome to the new world that we're all going to be living through. Hello, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on West 27th Street in the district. I'm here to share a few updates. But before I share FIT updates, I'd just like to thank the Land Use Committee for their unanimous vote in support of our proposed lobby revamping on the campus. Thank you. Lighted Earth is a collaboration between a new exhibition, Lighted Earth, opens in the A&D Gallery on Thursday. That's the glass box on the corner of 27th Street. Thursday, that's today, and it runs through December 1st. The gallery is open from 9 to 5 daily. Lighted Earth is a collaboration between FIT graphic design BFA students and jewelry design students at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe. The exhibition features student projects from IAIA's jewelry class, shown alongside a documentary film that includes student interviews plus insights from the jewelry design faculty at IAIA on the internationally renowned collection of Native American arts, which are housed at the Institute. FIT graphic design students developed the identity and the interpretive materials for the exhibition. So let me just give you a brief description of the FIT graphic design BFA program. I find it really impressive. Students hone a personal voice that requires critical thinking, social awareness, and the ability to communicate across an array of platforms. Topics of study include editorial design, interactive web design, experiential design, that's the exhibitions and signs that they did for this show, and kinetic typography, along with advanced typography, corporate identity systems, motion graphics, and art history. Students also participate in industry-sponsored competitions in New York City and gain experience through a required internship. The program concludes with a senior thesis project and a jury design exhibition. Students graduate with a portfolio to present, where they have phenomenal success in our placement rates. Blow off the top of your head. On Monday, November 18th, which is this Monday at 5:30, we'll be conducting a special 1-hour curator-led tour of the main exhibition at the museum at FIT, which is Africa's Fashion Diaspora. It's a free
Okay,
tour.
Lisa, we're almost up out of time.
Okay, it's a free tour for our neighbors. The museum's closed to the public. You should have gotten an invitation from Marissa. If not, you can email me, and the public can email me. We have a lot of RSVPs, but there's still a little room. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going online, we've got Norshin Jareen. Come on up, Norshin. Unmute yourself and you're good to go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Noshin Jarin. I'm a kidney transplant coordinator at NYU Langone Hospital. I'd like to speak with you today in support of New York City Intro Bill 702, which is a local law in relation to establishing an emergency student food plan. The primary sponsor of this bill is Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. If passed, the Office of Emergency Management, in consultation with the Mayor's Office of Food Policy and the Department of Education, would be required to develop a plan to provide students with breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the event of school closures. I support this bill because I want to reduce rates of child food insecurity in New York City. During public health emergencies, food insecurity rates increase due to job layoffs, medical expenses, and overall financial hardship. Some families simply do not have the funds to afford additional meals for their children. When schools close and remote learning is enforced, students lose access to their usual daily meals. Emergency food systems like food pantries and soup kitchens are also faced with struggles due to volunteer shortages and lack of donations, as well as increased demand for meals. The COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the negative impact that school closures can have on students and their families due to lack of access to school meals. In fact, studies show that food insecurity rates doubled overall and tripled among families with children during the pandemic. As of September 2024, there is estimated to be 14 million children in the US facing food insecurity, and in New York City, it's reported that 1 in 4 children are food insecure. I find these statistics to be quite alarming, and if you do too, I urge you to contact your council members and encourage them to co-sponsor Intro Bill 702. Thank you.
Thank you, Norshin. Okay, we're going to take one more look at our list of online people. I think everybody's got a chance to speak that wants to speak. Looking again, is there anybody on here? I think we're good. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Bradley.
Right. Thank you, Todd. All right, I will now call to order the full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 5. I am Brad Sherburne, the chair. I want to begin by this meeting by thanking our host, Gutman College, and invite Dr. Rosalind Knight to the podium, please.
Good evening, everyone. As Bradley said, my name is Dr. Rosalind Knight. I serve as the Executive Chief of Staff here at Gutman Community College. We are so thankful that you're here today. Welcome to the home of the Grizzlies, aptly named for our weather. So hope you enjoy your time here at Gutman. We are the newest community college in the CUNY system, opened about 12 years ago to really change and reimagine what happens for students in community colleges, to bring them in, provide them with support, one-on-one advising, provide them with transportation. Our students come from 4 of the 5 boroughs. So though we're here in Manhattan, we serve other boroughs across the city. We're excited about the work that we do in supporting our students through our programs and our connections to the community. So we hope to be more engaged and involved with you all. Again, we are happy to have you here. Welcome to Gutman Community College, and I hope you have a wonderful meeting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we will start our full board meeting by hearing from the elected officials that are in attendance in which to address the board. The elected officials will be followed by any representatives of any other electeds who may report to the board for 2 minutes each. The board then enters its business session, which consists of a roll call vote to accept the October minutes, the chair's report, committee reports, and resolutions with a question and comment period and voting. We will then follow with new business. Lastly, we will then conduct a public session for those who would like to address the board on any item that was not covered during the meeting and that they did not speak to the board about during the public hearing, followed by adjournment. I will start this evening's meeting by calling on elected official, and I see Assemblymember Tony Simone is with us, so please.
Good evening, everyone. Joining you after a very uneventful few weeks and days. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Assemblymember Tony Simone. I represent the West Side of Manhattan. Honored and humbled to be here for now serving you in a second term. And I want to continue to figure out how we can deliver more affordable housing, better transit, and safer streets. As I've said to everyone when I first ran, I'll work my heart out for all of you. I always welcome a diverse set of opinions. I know many of you, but still need to get to know many more of you. With the privilege to continue to serve on the West Side of Manhattan, I will return back to Albany in a few weeks with a renewed charge. I commit again to defend us against the attacks that we know are going to come from Washington. New York State must step up. I've already called for a special session. I don't know whether we'll do it or not, to protect our immigrant families, to ensure that budget cuts won't hit us as hard as we expect them to from our new leader, so-called new leader. I know that one thing that we've learned from this election, if anything, which I know is trying to assess what happened, is it falls on us in New York State to build affordable housing for every New Yorker, to solve our housing crisis. You can't just do that by only protecting tenants, which I'm a big advocate for, but it's about building housing throughout the state, not just in our district. Middle income housing for teachers and firefighters and police officers, but supportive housing in every district in New York, by the trains, you name it. Until we do that, we will never solve our housing crisis. And I think if we lead on that, you will see everything shift in the next election. We're way behind the curve. We also want to address the dual crisis of the mental health crisis, illnesses we see playing out before us in our streets, and the substance use abuse issue also we see in our streets. I think we need a new way of thinking, new creative ways to solve these problems. Clearly, what we've been doing so far is not working. And we'll be addressing a new plan to take on the mental health crisis in the next few months. I also want to applaud Governor Hochul today for bringing congestion pricing back online. I thought it was a mistake to delay it in the first place. I know we don't all agree on that, but I'm happy that it will start very soon before it could be stopped. Mass transit is the backbone of our city and state. We need a constant income stream to support our infrastructure, support housing, to ensure that we have the best transportation system. And lastly, but not least, we have a few events coming up. On Wednesday, December 4th, we are hosting a Medicare enrollment information session at Hudson Guild Elliott Center at 441 West 26th Street from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. If you have questions about enrollment, we'll be posting about it and emailing it out to anyone's on our list. We also will host a winter clothing drive and holiday toy drive. Donations and goods can be dropped off at my office. And Ben Lowenstein, who is here, can give you more information if you any follow-up. So if anyone has any questions, I only take easy ones. I love boards with no questions. Have a great night. Have a great meeting. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you very much, Assembly Member. Okay, seeing no other electeds, we will now move to elected representatives. So please raise your hands. Okay, we're going to start with Lori H.
Thank you. Hi, Brad. Good evening, Brad, NCB5. Lori from Councilmember Eric Botcher's office. So first up, news racks. As everyone here knows, they are neglected, vandalized, they're filled with garbage and often used as furniture. So yesterday, the City Council passed Councilmember Botcher's Intro 663, his bill that will empower the Department of Transportation to regulate the design, the maintenance, and siting of sidewalk news racks. Until now, regulations didn't empower the city to address the issue. Intro 663 requires news rack owners to put their contact information at visible location on the front or sides of the news rack, so you will know who to contact if there's a problem. Next, curbside composting info session. As you all probably know, composting became mandatory on October 6th. The city is giving New Yorkers about 6 months to get accustomed to composting before it becomes mandatory. Our office is hosting composting information sessions in partnership with the Lower East Side Ecology Center. The next one will be at Manhattan Plaza, Ellington Room. It's at 400 West 43rd Street, Tuesday, November 19th, between 7 and 8. And finally, PB. You have one more day to submit ideas. Just Google PB NYC Ideas Map to share your idea for how to spend $1 million of City Council discretionary funds in our community. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So now I'm going to go to in-person, Mackie Bentley from Congressman Nadler's office.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a great evening. Just wanted to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Mackie Bentley, and I'm the new community liaison in Congressman Nadler's office. So moving forward, I'll be attending these meetings. If you have any questions and there's any way that our office can assist, feel free to stop me after the meeting, and I'm more than happy in way we can. And then tonight, I just kind of want to briefly talk about post-election. As we know, the new administration has some interesting thoughts and scaling back on agencies and such. And so with the swearing in January 20th, I just want to flag that this is a good time to, if you have any, federal casework such as passports, IRS issues, things like that, it'd be better to get it done sooner rather than later. Again, if you have any questions or concerns or just confused on where we can and can't help, stop me after the meeting and I'm more than happy to help any way I can. Pleasure to meet you all. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next we'll move to Alex Marinides from Senator Krueger's office.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. I've been having some issues with my Zoom audio, so just want to make sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Marinides. I work for Senator Krueger's office. Just to start, first and foremost, Senator Krueger, like many of you and like myself, is upset and dismayed with Donald Trump's victory and the concurrent gains that far-right Republicans made in Congress. And to be frank with you all, while New York State is in a better position than we were in 2016 to protect our rights, there's a good chance that the Trump administration will try to penalize blue states with harsh austerity measures, including steep cuts to Medicaid, infrastructure, and affordable housing. Behind every dollar that's cut from these programs, there will be a person who suffers in real terms. So we should keep that in mind, although it is bleak to think about. Senator Krueger and her colleagues in the state legislature stand ready to oppose the administration's attacks on New York and to try to find alternative funding sources for programs that are slashed, but it would be absurd to claim that these would not be a difficult 4 years ahead for our community. To that end, and moving on, Senator Krueger is very pleased that today Governor Hochul announced her decision to restart congestion pricing in January at a lower starting toll of $9 so that this critical program can't be killed by the incoming administration. This election was clearly about affordability, and that's just what congestion pricing delivers. Desperately needed funding to support critical public transit that makes life more affordable for the vast majority of New York City residents and commuters who use it. supported by a fee on the small minority who choose to drive private cars on a taxpayer-funded roads in the most congested city in the world. Implementing congestion pricing will close a massive multi-billion-dollar hole in the MTA capital budget, which would otherwise have to be filled by taxpayers across the state. Now, I've made the case for that policy several times here, so I'll just move on. My last point is that we will be holding a series of webinars on housing issues and a virtual older adult resource fair in November and in December. And I'm going to include that and links to sign up for that in the chat. And Marisa and Josh have those as well. So I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much, Alex. All right, next is Franklin Richard from Councilmember Powers' office.
Hey everyone, Franklin here for Councilmember Powers' office. Just a few quick updates. This summer's heat wave underscored an issue that has long remained under the radar: the lack of free drinking water and the inability to easily refill reusable water bottles in our parks. This is why earlier this year, Councilmember Powers introduced Intro 900. This bill will increase access to drinking water fountains and water bottle refill station. One second, let me mute that. In our public spaces across the city. Intro 900 will require the addition of 500 new drinking fountains in our public spaces by 2030, including water bottle refill capacities and emphasis on accessibility. It will also require DEP, DOT, and DCAS to coordinate to make sure that this is rolled out in an equitable way. Second, every year our office funds certain capital projects here on the East Side. District 4 constituents can propose a new capital project that requires a minimum budget of $50,000 for something that the city agency can improve on or build. We have a form that I will post in the chat that folks can fill out, and we will be closing that rather soon. And if you have any questions about the capital process, feel free to give us a call at 212-818-0580. Thank you.
Thank you, Franklin. All right, next is Biani Rodriguez from Councilmember Carlina Rivera's office.
Hello, I am Biani Rodriguez from the office of Councilmember Carlina Rivera, and I'll try to keep it brief. I am happy to announce that City Council passed the FAIR Act, which is, New York City is one of 2 major cities that allow fees of brokers hired by landlords to be passed on to tenants. Basically, the FAIR Act would prohibit that, and tenants will no longer have to pay the broker fee. I'm also happy to share that yesterday we had a legal housing clinic with Legal Aid, and we had a great turnout. If anybody is having any housing issues, please feel free to reach out to us. And this Thanksgiving season, our office is supporting our community by distributing turkeys and prepare meals for the community. If you or anybody that you know is in need of a turkey or a meal or needs any resource for Thanksgiving, please let us know. Our phone number is 212-677-1077, and the email is district2@council.nyc.gov. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I see the borough president has joined us. So if you would like to speak. Yeah, right there at the podium.
Okay, excellent. Well, good evening, Community Board 5. It's great to see all of you. My goodness, this is not a place for politics, but I think I can safely acknowledge that a lot of you, a lot of us are feeling the weight of the election results on Tuesday. And I think I can also say I've heard a lot of Manhattanites who are fearful. And my feeling right now is that local government is going to be more important now than ever. And I mean local government at every level, including community boards and this community boards. We have enormous leverage to protect the people, the interests, the values of the city, to protect vulnerable groups. And I'm going to be fighting very hard to make sure that we exercise that power. We were given some new tools on Tuesday as well. Not all the news was bad. We passed an amendment to the New York State Constitution that will enshrine reproductive rights in the state constitution and also will enshrine protection against discrimination against people based on age, ethnicity, faith, whether they're LGBTQ and other categories. This is who New York is, who New York will continue to be. And I'm just grateful to all of you for stepping up now. I think civic leaders like you now are going to be more important than ever. There was also news today, I guess less momentous, but if you're a New Yorker, a big deal, that Governor Hochul announced that congestion pricing has been unpaused, that it will be implemented. I think you've probably heard some of the terms of this. Okay, one applause. All right. But wait a minute. Did CB5 not pass a resolution in favor of congestion pricing? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, because the politics of it are tough. And that was true probably. When did you pass your resolution? What's that? A while ago, years ago. Maybe some of you weren't members of the board back then. The politics remain tough, but my goodness, we have a congestion crisis in Community Board 5 that is slowing emergency vehicle response time. Fire trucks and police response and ambulance response is now getting longer and longer and longer here in Community Board 5, and all the impact on air quality and really economic development. And then we have a second crisis on our mass transit where we have billions of dollars of unmet capital needs on our subways. We have the oldest subway car fleet in North America. We have World War II era signaling systems, et cetera. And congestion pricing addresses both of those two challenges. So despite the political problems, and they are real, I don't minimize that, this is going to help move us forward in really important ways. And I congratulate Governor Hochul for sticking with it and taking a bold political step here. There's a few connected policy ideas that I want to mention right here. One is that we're seeing an increasing number of people evading tolls and red light cameras and speeding cameras with what are called ghost plates. I think that's going to accelerate dramatically once congestion pricing is implemented. But already we have seen a very steep curve. The number of people who are using devices to obscure their plate. Sometimes it's just a dark plastic cover. Sometimes it's something out of a James Bond movie where they press a button in the cockpit and a little plastic screen comes down. You can easily buy these, by the way, on social media. I've been pushing the major platforms to stop that. They're illegal to sell in New York, but you can go on Craigslist and you can find listings in New York City for these kinds of devices. We scored a victory. TikTok now has booted them off the platform. We're pushing Meta platforms as well. But frankly, there's just been too little enforcement, and the fines and penalties are too minimal. As far as I'm concerned, if there's a car parked on the street with a fraudulent license plate, then that car should be at a minimum booted and ideally towed. And if someone receives a moving violation or is out there on the street in motion with one of these plates, that should be points on their license. This is a very serious violation, and it's going to get worse now. So maybe you all can consider this. We've put out a policy agenda on this, which I'll share with the board, but you have a traffic and transportation committee here, correct? All right. We're going to pass that on to you. Maybe you'll give it consideration. I hope you will. Has this board considered residential parking permits as well? Is this on your radar at all? This is also gaining traction now. I'm sure you have a problem in this district with people from the suburbs parking their car in residential streets. Makes it very hard for people who live here to find parking. And in general, it's also a growing problem. To be honest, more north of the congestion zone is my concern. But are there residential streets here where you're seeing suburban cars parking, or is that really not a factor in CV5? Yeah, it's happening here. So there's a movement afoot to do what every other major city in America has done, which is to require a residential permit to park on these streets. And it could potentially, depending on how it's priced, that's where it gets controversial, generate revenue for the neighborhood. And I would think that whatever revenue generated should be reinvested in everything from local parks to enhanced bus service, et cetera. So another item for Traffic and Transportation Committee, I hope you'll consider. Finally, I just want to mention two things that my office is doing that I want you to know about. We've created a senior resource guide that it's 50 pages. But it's easy to read. It's organized by community board. So there's a section for Community Board 5 that lists all the senior senators by community board, but it also lists out a wide variety of other services which seniors need, whether it is related to health and fitness, whether it's related to legal assistance, to companionship, recreation, transportation, financial and housing assistance. It's all in this guide. So my wonderful CB5 liaison here, Bracha Rosenberg. Hi, should have acknowledged you before. How can people, members of the board and the public, if they want to get a copy of the guide, how can they access it? Can we bring physical copies to Community Board 5? Okay, so we'll get you some physical copies for people who want old-fashioned paper, but it's very accessible on our website on the PDF, and we will get you the link. Finally, we have had such a demand from young people in applying for community boards. This is a great thing. By this, I mean under 18. You know, the minimum age is now 16. You're only allowed 2 slots per community board, which at the time that the rules were changed, we thought we'd be lucky if we filled 2 slots. It turns out we're getting way more people applying. This is a wonderful problem to have. So what we have done is we've created a leadership opportunity. We're calling it the Manhattan Future Leaders Fellowship for young people, high school aged, who want to step up and lead because there's not enough capacity on the boards. And this is partly an opportunity for them to learn and develop leadership skills, but also for them to help us think about policy and to contribute to the work of the office. So applications are open now, and the deadline is December 1st. So if you know young people, and Bracha, the minimum age is it 16 or is 16? Okay. So if you know high school is 16 and up, please let them know. Again, it's called the Manhattan Future Leaders Fellowship, and they can apply between now and December 1st on our website. So thank you, Community Board 5. I don't know if the protocol or the timing allows for questions. If so, I'm happy to take any. If not, also happy to yield the floor. So any questions from in the room or on Zoom, I'm happy to take them.
Absolutely. Zul?
Well, congratulations on the Future Leaders Fellowship.
Thank you, Zul.
The ghost plates related issues, cameras and traffic lights and so on. What is in the purview of the city as compared to the state? What leverage do we have?
Both. There's a lot of leverage on both sides. We, by the way, are trying to get data from all the relevant entities, and some, like the traffic lights and speed cameras are run by the city, as you probably know, authorized by the state, but we run them. And we're trying to get accurate data on the number of unreadable plates. We estimate that it's probably about 10% at this point, which is quite remarkable. First, because you think about how much money is lost. And second, because of the safety implication. A person who is deliberately obscuring their plate to go through red light cameras and speed cameras is probably going to be less safe on the street, right? That's a pretty fair assumption. So this is first and foremost a safety issue. I've tried to get, the MTA's had the congestion pricing cameras activated for months. They're not charging, but they're collecting data. I'm trying to get from them the rate of unreadable plates. Haven't gotten that yet. We sent a letter to them. I'd like to get that from City DOT as well. Look, some of the enforcement is just NYPD policy. They just have to, you don't need any laws to change, right? They've got to just be more aggressive, but both for moving vehicles, but it seems to me parked cars are a particularly easy target, and it's shocking. You can walk down any block and you can see all manner of obviously fake or obscured plates. By the way, even having a plastic cover, a clear plastic cover, is not legal under state law already. In fact, the state law is so clear that if you have snow obscuring your plate, you're legally obligated to remove it, right? So there's no ambiguity here. When you see anyone with any kind of tint or even any object over the plate, that's already illegal, right? So I think it's about pushing the NYPD to enforce these laws more than anything, though I would like to see the fines increased. And I'd like to see points on the license, and the points for sure will take state legislation. I believe the fines can be done through the city council. Yes, please.
Mike K-Bad. So while you're getting these license plate evaders, how about the fare evaders on Grand Central? When I take the 4, the 5, or the 6, there's 50% of the time that I pass through, there's somebody jumping over, or sneaking under, or running through a door. Sometimes, rarely there are cops there, but usually not. And it's rampant. Talk about saving money for the city. If you can urge the police department to keep their eyes open.
Yeah, look, this is a big problem. It's a growing problem. It's costing the MTA a lot of money. It's worse on buses. But in the subways, in addition to more enforcement, we need better physical barriers that are harder to hop. And if you go to many other countries, their subway barriers are very difficult to hop. And the MTA needs to accelerate this. They have been experimenting. They've had some out near at the end of the A train on I guess where you get the air train to JFK. Blanking, I guess that would be Jamaica. Yeah. They turned out to be harder to circumvent, but still vulnerable. But obviously something that's taller that you can't hop over, something that you can't jimmy open, to me is an obvious move, and the MTA needs to pick up the pace on that as well. So thank you. Yes.
What is the current penalty for this?
$65
Saw one.
for if it's parked. What's that?
You saw one. You were like,
Oh, how do you report it?
Yeah.
Great question. I guess it would be 311. I should know the answer to this. Yeah.
Yeah. This technology that I've worked with MTM. There's something you can do there, but like, $65 and no one knows how to report. It might be a little bit.
The fines are way too low. One of the things we called for is increasing the fines, but I think you're prompting me to try and figure out how to at least inform the public how to report, because if I don't know, then I'm guessing most people don't know. I'm going to work on this. I suspect 311 is the answer, but I worry that then you don't get a quick response. But we should also then interrogate the 311 protocol for these reports. So thank you. Brock will make sure that we work on this. Please.
Consider a residential street. For example, I live on 30th Street. My block, there's 3 residential buildings. It's, like, it's New York, right? Like, a lot of the streets might have commercial, like I have schools across the street and stuff like that.
Right.
Are you considering kind of like?
It's very clearly delineated. I mean, are there no meters on are there meters on the street? If there's no meter and there is no designated commercial loading zone, then it's for the whole block. So the parts that are not metered and not designated for commercial use are residential. It doesn't matter actually what kind of building, it could be, it could even be like a vacant lot, right? It's just, and we have, I think the number is, it's over 2 million spots on residential blocks across the city. It's some insane number, right? And if we were capturing a little bit of revenue on each of those, imagine how we could improve communities.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're gonna do one more. Go ahead, David.
So I'm David Sigmund, I'm the chair of our transportation And we met with Jesse Lang from your office about 3 weeks ago and sort of compared notes on what we're working on, what, your office.
Wonderful. And did the topics I've mentioned come up?
Yes.
Love it. Love it. That would have been a problem otherwise. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Community Board 5. Great seeing all of you. Have a good meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will go back to electeds with Kat Davis Veloso from Senator Gonzalez's office.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kat Veloso, and I'm representing Senator Kristen Gonzalez. As a longtime supporter of climate initiatives and transportation alternatives, Senator Gonzalez is very happy to see the governor implement congestion pricing. This program is an important step towards achieving our climate goals and giving New York and the MTA every tool they need to remain a leader in both sustainable initiatives and transportation. The senator was also very excited to see the results of the FAIR Act vote by the City Council and hopes this provides relief to New Yorkers. The mayor's rent increases went into effect on October 1st, and our office is available with support and providing resources. And as temperatures lower, just a quick heat reminder, your landlord is required to provide heat starting from October 1st. And if you are experiencing frequent heat, gas, or hot water outages, please reach out to our office as well. In regards to our upcoming events, we'll be hosting office hours in Stuytown on Tuesday, November 19th from 2 to 4:30 p.m. The senator will be there along with our constituent affairs team to connect with community members. Our office is also planning coat drives for this winter, and we'll keep you all updated with the details on those as planned. And lastly, in the upcoming weeks, the senator will be announcing new legislation and her priorities for the 2025 session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think that is it for the elected representatives. Okay, so we will now enter into the business session of the board, where, as I mentioned, only board members are allowed to speak. Board members attending virtually, please remember to have your videos on during the meeting. So now we are entering the business session, starting with a vote to accept the October minutes. Please respond with a yes or no, like a normal motion. May I have a motion? And a second? All right, thank you. Go ahead, Catherine.
80s. Baracador.
Yes.
Borden, absent. Chu. Dalal. Ellington. Present. Yes. Briz.
Yes.
Garcia. Gashal.
Yes.
Greeley.
Yeah.
Haas. Absent. Hayter. Harris. Hirschberg. Kavak.
Yes.
Hutton.
Yes.
Kerwin.
Yes.
Lavingia.
Yes.
Marks. McCall, excuse. Majadovic.
Yes.
Miller. Nazaro. Noti Victor. Absent. Nye.
Yes.
Rivas.
Yes.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Shapiro David,
Yes. Did you get my
Shapiro,
vote? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sigmund,
Yes. Shapiro Todd, yes.
Shapiro Todd,
Yes.
thank you. Southworth,
Yes.
Sung, Takahashi Rio. Yes. Dandin. Vikram,
Yes.
Witzke.
Yeah.
Shu. Absent. Young.
Yeah.
Yu. Solkowitz.
Yes.
Sherburne.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, we will now move into the chair's report. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our November cycle full board meeting. I will keep this short and sweet. I've been reminded in this past week or so of the value and importance of local government. And to that end, I want to thank you all for your involvement in our board. Our local government and elected officials have a tremendous impact on our lives, and the work we do here on our community board is a vital part of that process. We have a number of important issues and important and influential items coming before us in the coming months, from the redesign of Fifth Avenue to the rezoning of Midtown South to the redevelopment of Penn Station and the surrounding areas, to name a few. I look forward to the thoughtful, practical, and balanced approach that our board will bring to these important issues for the benefit of our community. I also want to give an update on the bylaws task force. Updating what I said at the last full board, we will be voting on the changes introduced before our October meeting in December. At our December meeting. At that meeting, we will give an explanation of the process, the changes, and answer any questions that anyone may have. So that concludes the chair's report, and now we will continue to committee reports and resolutions, starting with landmarks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Hirschberg. I'm the chair of the Landmarks Committee, and we had 3 resolutions that were distributed prior to this meeting. Can I have them deemed read?
So deemed.
All right, thank you. The first one comes from our friends at the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Sorry, do you want to bundle these or no?
Yes, I'll bundle them.
Okay.
Thank you. So the first one's from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And they wanted to restore the facade and the entrances on 83rd Street. And as well as replace the cooling project, the cooling tower that's behind a screen wall. And you may ask why we are hearing this in CV5, and it's because it touches Central Park, so we have jurisdiction over it. The Landmark Committee thought that the changes were appropriate because the doors that they are reinstalling actually previously existed. They had closed them up. So it's just reverting it to the way it originally was. So a committee approved that unanimously.
Any
questions?
Yeah, any conflicts? Any questions? Any comments? Okay, keep going.
Okay. The second application comes from the Siegel Cooper Building, where Bed Bath & Beyond had their flagship. It's 25 West 18th Street. And there they want to restore 5 facade bays on the first and mezzanine floors, and also change one of the doors. One of the unique aspects of this application is that we believed that the door was not compliant with the ADA rules. However, as the Landmarks Committee, that's not really our jurisdiction. So we had them represent that it does comply, and presuming that it does comply, we were happy to proceed with the changes. Any questions?
Any conflicts? Any questions? Any comments? Yeah, keep going.
Okay, and the third and final resolution from the committee concerns St. Bart's Church on Park Avenue. And in this situation, they want to replace the cooling tower as well as the what's referred to as the acoustical enclosure around the HVAC unit up there. And so we also did not have any issues with there. It has a very limited effect on the sight lines. So
good. Any conflicts? Any questions? Any comments? Okay. Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Wonderful to see.
Mike, sorry, can you use a microphone just because people online can't?
It's wonderful to see 3 resolutions that come up before us all approved so seamlessly and nicely. Good job, Landmark Committee.
thank you.
Okay, let's take this to a vote then.
Falcador. Borden, absent. Chu. Duval. Ellington, yes. Briz.
Yes.
Michelle. Yes. Greeley.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hirschberg. Hutton.
Yes.
Hayback.
Yes.
Kerwin.
Yes.
Lavingia.
Yes.
Majadovic.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Nazaro. Nye. Rivas.
Yes.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Shapiro David.
Yeah.
Shapiro Todd.
Yes.
Sigmund.
Yeah.
Southworth. Takahashi Rio. Thandon. Vikram.
Yes.
Witzke.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zolkowitz.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay.
Sherburne abstains.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And so now I am going to take us briefly out of business session because Assemblymember Epstein has joined us. Welcome.
Thank you. There.
Yeah, please.
So thank you all for taking me out of turn. It was it's been a challenge finding these your board meetings every month. So it's for you all too. So I'm glad we got to the Gutman and so to hear about all the great work this college is doing for folks here. So I know it's been a rough couple of weeks. A lot's going on in the world, and I feel like every day there's more news coming out. It's somewhat disturbing to me, but we soldier on and we'll do the best we can. For folks who are interested, we're having a holiday party on December 5th. So if people want to come join us, we're doing it at the Lower East Side Girls Club, and you can reach out to my office. Kathleen, I think she's on the Zoom. She can make sure you all know about it. It's the holidays, you might as well get together and like break bread and find a little joy in a really dark and depressing world. Sorry. Sorry. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and we all know. For folks who are in our community who need help, we have tofu turkeys, vegan turkeys. They can call the office, sign up to get a free turkey for the holidays, or chicken, or perniles, or tofu. I'm a vegan, so I make sure we have tofu turkeys. We'll do those next week. So people should encourage folks to come by. We're doing an e-waste event, and I still believe in the environment, so we're still doing an e-waste event. We're doing it downtown at Tompkins Square Park. So if people know about New York Ioneer, not in this community board, but there's a lot of conversation about preserving and landmarking the building at New York Ioneer. It's been a real institution in our city for over 130 years. There's been some concerns at Mount Sinai after moving forward with the closing of Beth Israel Hospital. We all know that's still in litigation, but they've gotten the approval from the state to close. They might want to move forward with closing Ioneer. So we just want to make sure that we are trying to do our best on the city level to landmark it so we can preserve the building and hopefully preserve the services that are in the building. Folks know that Prop 1 passed, so it is now part of the state constitution, which provides protections for reproductive health, as well as LGBT New Yorkers, as well as a whole host of other things. It's really such an important thing. And people saw that a couple weeks ago, the governor signed the state bill around expanding speed cameras, really want to slow people down who are driving. And the more speed cameras there are, hopefully the less traffic incidents we'll see. I don't know, we do have a lot of public housing in our city, and NYCHA has announced the new NYCHA rent relief package. So I want to make sure that people who are living in public housing know about it to make sure it's available. And I'm sure everyone heard today, I was at the press conference with the governor today about congestion pricing, that is going to get restarted, maybe. I mean, I do think there's a lot of litigation that could happen between now and January 20th. If the litigation gets a stay, it may not happen. But I'm clear, I've been a supporter of congestion pricing. I do believe in residential exemption because we're the only community where people have to, if they drive, have to pay to drive home. And so like London, they have a 90% residential exemption. That's not in the new version of the law. It just reduces the cost by 40%. So $9 for on-peak, about $2 off-peak, and reducing the discount for people who are taking a tunnel or bridge at cost funds. So that was basically all the things that were going on this month. There are questions that people have. I'm happy to take them. But I do think there's a lot we are going to do here in the city and the state to protect New Yorkers. I'm really hopeful that, even though it's a little bit of a depressing couple of weeks, that we will continue to advance what we believe in New York, and we will use our resources or our funds to protect New Yorkers and to ensure we expand the things that we need to expand, affordable housing, ensuring that people have access to right to counsel, ensuring that we continue to fund our schools and daycares and police and fire and all those things. But I don't want to interrupt your meeting anymore. And I don't know if there's a question or if we can take a question, I'm happy to do it. But I also want to make sure you get home early this evening as well.
Thank you. Go ahead, Zul.
Yeah, so the number went from 200 to, what's it, 650, I think the new number is, or it was this is the largest growth of speed cameras anywhere in the, let's see. Oh, I don't have the number in my I'll have Kathleen put it in the chat. I don't have the number, but I think it was 6 something is my number with my memory. Just the bill is A3120. People can look online to look at the bill number and figure that out. But it's the largest expansion ever of speed cameras in the city.
Thank you. Charles, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hello. So my question is, Assemblyman, with the grocery prices so high and costs soaring, vulnerable New Yorkers, especially those who are disabled who are on SSI, I was just wondering if you could look into with your colleagues in Albany why the New York State portion of SSI has remained the same, actually $87 since I came to New York in 2006. It hasn't changed all through when we had a recession in 2008, and it hasn't increased during the pandemic or anything, whereas the federal portion of the SSI has risen with cost of living each year. So I'm just wondering why New York State, especially being very wealthy state amongst the 50 states, has not increased their half of SSI to New Yorkers who are on SSI. So I was wondering if that's something you could look into. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to continue offline about that. I do think there's a problem with how we are looking at our resources. We've had the last two governors who haven't really wanted to raise taxes. And we see basically just agency budgets going up on an average 3% a year. So without increase in tax revenue, there's no way to pay for any additional increase in cost. So, unfortunately, things like that, things like ensuring that students with disabilities get additional resources, ensuring that we fund our CUNYs and our SUNYs. There's so many things that are falling off the plate. And so without additional revenue, it's going to be hard to fund any of these issues. And then the biggest question will be for next year, whether we'll lose federal revenue. 40% of our budget is from the federal government. And if we lose some of that revenue, it's even going to be harder to fund the things we are already funding today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'll make the last joke because people probably have been asking me every day. I didn't know about SNL. No one told me about it. I found out when I went live. I have no idea why John Mulaney did a parody of me, but it was funny. And if people haven't seen it yet, it's a cute 2-minute skit from last weekend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Assembly Member. Okay, we are going to go back into business session with SLAP. Go ahead, Janice.
I was gonna say John Mulaney's a hard act to follow. Anyway, SLAP has one reso this month, and an update regarding our new RLA task force may have the reso deemed read.
So deemed.
Great. So this month, SLAP formalizes process for reviewing dining out applications. As a reminder, DOT only gives us 30 and 40 days to review roadway and sidewalk cafe applications respectively, which makes it really difficult for us to collect comment from the community, conduct due diligence, and issue an opinion in time for a committee and full board vote each month. As such, given that our goal is to always balance both the residential and commercial interests of our district, the committee decided that we would do our best to go through our usual due diligence process of making sure that the community is notified about any new dining out applications, that we're reaching out to applicants and conducting site visits, and that we do our best to resolve any issues that may arise between the applicant and the community, given the time we have. At the same time, in order to meet the application deadlines, we decided to grant the SLAP chair and vice chair the authority to fill out the recommendation form that DOT provides with each application and sign off on a recommendation on behalf of CB5. The recommendation granted will be based on information returned by committee members conducting due diligence through our evaluation form, which is essentially an updated version of the matrix put together by the Open Restaurants Task Force and approved by our board back in 2022 as a means of assessing a proposed cafe's adherence to the program guidelines and how consistent it is with other operations in the neighborhood. Further, the possible recommendation will be to grant either an approval with modifications in cases where we have modifications to suggest, or a denial if the applicant is uncooperative, has a poor operating history, or is proposing a method of operation incompatible with the neighborhood. The same criteria we use when considering denials for liquor license applications. In cases where there are no concerns, in lieu of issuing an approval, we will choose to issue no comment and waive review, again, in the same vein as liquor license applications. So we may focus our attention and resources on applications that elicit greater concern. And for all applications, we reserve the ability to work with the relevant council member to resolve any issues beyond an application deadline. And the board reserves the ability to affirm or challenge any recommendations submitted by the SLAP chairs. So given what I just described, the committee voted unanimously to adopt the aforementioned process 10-0-0-0.
Thank you. Any conflicts? Any questions? Samir.
I know in the past I had asked if deputizing chairs and vice chairs to speak on behalf of the board would like when we would typically have a vote to like take an action would typically constitute, or I had concerns that it might run afoul of the city charter, and I think we were going to ask the law department about it. Did we ever do that?
Yes.
Okay, and they were fine with it. Great.
Any other questions? Neil, yeah, if you just grab a mic, please. Thank you.
Is it the chair that will be filling out this, or chair or vice chair that's filling out the Google form? Is it the chair or vice chair that's filling out the Google form? That's here, or the applicant? that's filling
No,
it out?
the committee member who's assigned to do due diligence is filling out the form. And then based on that form, the chair or vice chair of the committee will fill out the recommendation form that comes with all the applications and submit that back to DOT.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Good, Ronald.
Just a clarification, the last thing on here for community feedback, it says cafe is opposed by a majority of the local residents. I mean, what would be a procedure to figure out if it's opposed by a majority of the local residents? Do we mean the people that show up for the hearings?
No, typically when we notice these applications, we'll get the office will get comments. So for example, last month we had a application that got like 30 negative comments, so that would constitute a negative response from the community.
But I mean, that's just a subset of people that show up for the hearing though, right? Or provide comments.
So basically, it's when we notice the community, if we hear negative feedback, that's when we would take action in the sense of we would arrange, try to arrange a community meeting. Like this is the process for liquor license applications, which is more established. We would try to sort things out between the community and the applicant, so that ideally the application can move forward. And it's only if we can't resolve things is when we issue a different opinion.
Gotcha, thanks.
Any other questions? Any comments? Todd?
Okay, so as you all know, I was the chair of the Open Restaurants Task Force, and we spent 2.5 years researching this, soliciting opinions from our board members at the time about how to shape and make recommendations to the city council and anybody who would care to listen. I strongly support what Janice and the committee have done. It's a logical extension of the work that we conducted. And I would point out that it's well within the tradition and the customs that the SLAP committee, of which I've been on for 10 years, has gone about its work with regard to liquor licenses, as Janice mentioned. But this is what it's all about. When we commented on the new law, along with our fellow community boards, we all made mention of the fact that the time limits were insufficient to do the work as compared to what was available to us for liquor licenses. And even with regard to how it was done before the big reform for open restaurants. However, this is the world that we live in. I feel it's critically important. We have to build a reputation from the start of firm and strong advisory role, which is what we are supposed to do under the city charter, deputizing the chair and the co-chair to have the authority on these tight deadlines to make comments and get them in is very similar to what was done, albeit in different ways for our liquor licenses. I think it's a good move. We'll have chance to comment, as we see results of the open restaurants process play out, but it's the right move. And again, I've probably done as many of these initial due diligences as everybody. And unless we establish a tradition and a procedure that gets the comments in an effective way, it's just going to make us harder to command respect when we do our due diligence efforts. Anyway, I strongly recommend it, and I commend the committee for the work they've done in putting this resolution together.
Thank you, Todd. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, let's take this to a vote.
Balakador.
Yes.
Chu. Dalal.
Yes.
Ellington, yes. Chris.
Yes.
Michelle. Yes. Greeley.
Yes.
Harris. Hirschberg. Hutton. Hutton, you might be on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Payback.
Yes.
Kerwin,
Yes.
Marks. You may be on mute. Marks? Oh, I mean, Lavengia.
Yes.
Apologies. Majadovic,
Yes.
Miller. Nazaro. Nye. Rivas,
Yes.
Ricardo,
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Shapiro David. Shapiro David, are you on mute?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shapiro Todd,
Yes.
Sigmund.
Yeah.
Southworth,
Yes.
Takahashi Rio. Thondon. Vikram. Witzke.
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zulkowitz. Sherburne, abstain. It passes.
Thank you. And your update?
Quick update. So the RLA task force has kicked off with Huron as its chair. The kickoff is a formal recognition of the work Huron has been doing to work with the residents and nightlife operators in the restricted licensing area to resolve ongoing issues in the area. And this is also a formal dedication of resources in the form of additional committee members and their time to support that goal. The task force is currently collecting data on the area and helping to organize another community meeting for stakeholders to meet again and continue to make strides towards resolving those issues.
Thank you, Janice. Okay, next up is land use. Nancy.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Gosho, and I'm Chair of the Land Use, Housing and Zoning Committee of Community Board 5. We had one application this month. I like it deemed read.
So deemed?
So the FIT campus and buildings are built on city-owned land. And this means that any proposed design changes to the buildings or the public realm on this campus must be approved by Community Board 5 prior to an approval by the Public Design Commission. The Public Design Commission of the City of New York has jurisdiction over all permanent structures, landscape architecture, and art proposed on or over city-owned property. PDC's mission is to advocate for innovative, sustainable, equitable design of public spaces and civic structures in the goal of improving the public realm. So FIT is proposing renovation to two campus buildings, the Dubinsky Student Center and the Business and Liberal Arts Center on West 27th Street. This is on the north side of West 27th Street, mid-block between 7th and 8th Avenues. We approved the proposed design because we felt, among other things, which are listed in the resolution, that the proposed lobby upgrades are an appropriate and harmonious design with the existing FIT campus and buildings design, and will enhance safety, energy efficiency, accessibility, and egress in an ADA compliant manner. The vote was unanimous for approval.
Any conflicts? Any questions? Any comments? All right, let's take, yes, go ahead, Mike. Please take a mic. No, take a mic, please. A mic, Mike.
So when I went to FIT in 1964 or so, it was one building, big. And I think that's this building that we're talking about now. Well, one of them is this building. And it's amazing to see. It used to be the Fur District. And it's amazing to see how it's evolved. This is a wonderful school. I go to the museum all the time, and I would recommend any of you who have not been to the museum at FIT, give it a shot. It's worth the visit. Thank you.
And Community Board 5 has a long tradition relationship with FIT. We had many of our meetings for many years in the student faculty cafeteria.
Yeah, maybe. Let's take this to a vote.
Delacador.
Yeah.
Chu. Bilal.
Yes.
Ellington, yes. Briz.
Yes.
Gashal.
Yes.
Greeley.
Yes.
Okay, give me a moment. Okay. Thanks. Greeley.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hirschberg. Hutton.
Yes.
Kavak.
Yes.
Kerwin.
Yes.
Labengia. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks. Majoktovic.
Yes.
Miller.
Yeah.
Nazaro.
Yes.
Nodi Victor. Is absent. Nye.
Yes.
Rivas.
Yes.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Roland. Yeah. Shapiro David. Okay, that's fine. Shapiro Todd.
Yes.
Southward.
Yes.
Sung. Absent. Takashar. Rio. Sachi, hi. How are you tonight? London.
Yes.
Vikram.
Yes.
Witzke.
Yes.
Zhu. Absent. Young.
Yes.
Zolkowitz. Sherburne. Sigmund.
Yes.
How you doing? Okay. Thank you.
Which passes?
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is the Executive Committee on behalf of PPS.
Hello there. So I have one resolution and then a brief update on a presentation that we got. Could I have the resolution deemed read?
So deemed.
Thank you. So the resolution is the Parks Committee reviewed an application from the ad agency Giant Spoon on behalf of Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon to host SpongeBob's Winter Wumboland, a one-day fun photo activation in Bryant Park celebrating the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob SquarePants. The activation would take place on Friday, November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving, in the Carousel Gravel area of the Winter Village, which is basically right there across the street. There will be a significant funding contribution made to Bryant Park. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. The event will feature the custom carriage that will be in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade the day before and offer visitors a chance to take photos and receive a short video clip along with a commemorative SpongeBob holiday scarf. While we appreciated the event, the opportunity, and the contribution that they're going to make to the park, we did have some concerns about crowd management, given that this is going to be one of the busiest shopping days of the year. And even today, as you can see, it's incredibly crowded and busy in that area. So in essence, we just strongly recommended that they provide additional staffing and security to make sure that pathways were clear, the line was under control, and that the event could go off seamlessly. They were responsive to that. And we also noted that there's no commercial use of the photography. They won't be retaining the email addresses or using the photographs for social media or anything like that. And they also have opportunities for those unable to actually climb up onto the float, I guess it is, or the wagon. So Bryant Park Corporation supported the activation, and we supported it unanimously. We didn't have a quorum, so this went to executive committee where the vote was unanimous. I think that's
Thank you.
it.
Any conflicts? Any questions? All right, Charles, and then Zool.
Thank you. Yes, I was at the meeting, but some of my fellow members weren't there. Is there a way that we can ensure quorum next time? I believe that maybe the reminder email that wasn't sent might have contributed to some members not being there. Is there going to be insurance that reminder emails will be sent in future? Maybe could something be acknowledged in the minutes that some people might not have turned up due to the fact that they didn't get the reminder email, not because of just not choosing not to show up? Thank you.
I'll handle that one. So all our meetings are made available ahead of time. They're all on our website. So it is the individual board members' responsibility to make sure that you attend your meetings. Consider the email reminders a courtesy, not a requirement. So you should still go to those meetings if they're on the calendar, even if you do not receive an email. It is the requirement of all board members to be at attendance for their committee members or for their committee meetings. When we get to comments, yes. Okay. Zool, go ahead.
Michael, exactly how much is Giant Spoon shelling out for this big birthday SpongeBob?
We do not generally get these specific numbers.
Why not?
We generally ask if they feel it is sufficient for their needs, and I believe it's in the 5 figures, but don't quote me on that. I don't know.
Asked and partly answered.
Yeah.
Questions? We're in questions. Reminder, everyone. Thank you. Okay. No more questions. All right. Comments. We'll do Todd and then Catherine.
Okay. Zool makes an excellent point about us during our due diligence and in our committee hearings, trying to get the actual numbers from the bids. They're often reluctant to give out that information. They have their reasons. They feel like it's part of their job to keep things close to the vest. They feel, these are things I've heard over the years, off the record. They feel like if the numbers get out, it may inhibit their ability to negotiate better rates. The one thing I have tried to press them over the years about this, to simply state, and I think Michael mentioned this, is it a material number? Okay, in other words, is it a third? Is it a half? How is it relevant to the total amount you got in past years? And to be fair to them, they have given us that information. So given the fact that the bids in question are among the more well-run ones in the city, we can only press so hard, but it's a good question, and we should continue asking those questions when we have the opportunity, particularly when the events are of a type where they really have a big footprint and extend over a period of time.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah, Brent.
Yeah, so I also sit on parks, and parks represents, and we have this running all through our committees, unique private partnerships, and we're not the only source of due diligence for the applicants. They generally have an application to meet with parks, sometimes with the city. And so we do lean in around, is this a significant part of your budget? Is this, are these numbers relevant? Are you getting what it's worth to open up public space to a private entity for a public good? So we try to ask them and try to help them. We do ask them, is it significant? Is it meaningful? And we take them through a grid process. So I just wanted to say that. And then the other comment, I wanted to come back around. If you are sitting on a committee, please know that your chairs and vice chairs need you to reach out to them proactively. If you're not going to be at a meeting and you're not going to be at a meeting, let the chair know. Be proactive. You can download the whole calendar in your Outlook. You can interact if there's something that you need to discuss. You can still be a part of the process. We all have schedules. This is New York City. We are all moving through global worlds, hybrid worlds. And again, so I'm going to say this again, please try to be proactive on your committees. Don't be a stranger. We know life happens. We know trains don't run. We know people are having babies, getting married, on honeymoons, funerals, all that. It's life in New York. So please, and this is the holiday season coming up, please respect the committee and the chair and the work that has to get done, whether or not you show up. At least you can say you're not going to be there. So maybe we could do something else. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Any other comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, as vice chair, I just want to add my voice to what you heard from Catherine and Brad. There's nothing more important than meeting quorum and showing up at the meetings and communicating with your chair and vice chair. We're advisory. That's what it's all about. If we don't meet our quorum and we don't do our job, then our advice has less impact.
Thank you, Todd. Okay. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, let's take this to a vote.
Locador?
Yes.
Chu? Dalal?
Yes.
Ellington, yes. Briz?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Greeley?
Yes.
Haas is absent. Harris? Hirschberg? Hutton?
Yes.
Kayback?
Yes.
Kerwin?
Yes.
Lavengia? Miller? Nazaro? Nye? Rivas?
Yes.
Ricardo?
Yes.
Roland?
Yes.
Shapiro? David? Shapiro? Todd?
Yes.
Sigmund?
Yes.
Southworth?
Yes.
Sung? She's absent. Takahashi Rio? Thondon?
Yes.
Vikram?
Yes.
Witzke?
Yes.
Young. Yes. Zolkowitz.
No.
Sherburne.
Abstain.
Passes. Approved. 1 no, 1 abstain.
Thank you very much. All right, and the update?
Oh, yes. So very quickly, the New York City Parks Department presented to us about their new Vital Parks for All initiative. And I wanted to just mention this briefly because it's a very cool new tool, and in essence, data and transparency tool that I applaud them for and would hope that other city departments and organizations would follow this type of process or project, et cetera, in the future. In essence, it gives the public access to a lot of the data points that basically we would love to have about everything, not just parks. So in short, it's an online tool providing detailed information about park access and conditions. It allows communities to see data broken down by community board district. It includes metrics on over 20 key elements that make up a vital park system, and it provides real-time inspection data and park condition scores. Some of the key features are maps showing access to amenities like recreation space, dog runs, public restrooms. It has a very detailed tree inventory with information about literally every specific tree, capital investment tracking over the past 5 years, park condition scores based on regular inspections for cleanliness and safety, and data on park partner groups and community engagement. This is relevant to CB5 in many ways. We have some great parks, but it also shows things like how CB5 has lower street tree coverage at 9% compared to a citywide average of 42%. This is kind of information can help us in the future with budget resolutions, district needs statements, ULURP discussions, and capital project priorities. In the future, they are going to implement things like council district overlays, which actually came out of the discussion in our meeting, and a host of other features. They are launching this to the public on November 25th, and they're very interested in community engagement for how this can sort of move forward and be a better tool for everyone. And you can visit that at nyc.gov/vitalparks. I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much. All right, next we will move to the executive committee on behalf of the BEX committee. Go ahead, Mohit.
Awesome. So BEX had one item this month, our district needs statement and budget priorities. May I ask that it be deemed read?
So deemed.
First, I think huge thanks goes out to Marisa and the whole committee. This district needs statement, which we do annually, was a very complex process where a lot of hours went into developing it. And so big thanks again to Marisa and the committee in putting this together. For context for newer members, one of our core responsibilities as a community board and as the BEX committee is to put out our annual district needs statement and clarify our budget priorities, which in turn is reviewed by the mayor's office, our agencies, and our local officials. As mentioned, the committee put in a collective 12 to 15 hours in the identification, the review, and the prioritization of all of our budget priorities this year. Although we did not have in-person quorum at our meeting, we did have a supermajority both in the creation and the voting of our district needs statement this year, which was approved unanimously, and then again approved at exec 13-0 with 1 abstention. I'll just share some details about the process. The actual district needs statement is like approximately 60 pages long with the budget request. So we'll share some context around how we got to the district needs statement, then pause for questions, and then we can go into specific line items if there's interest. This year we had 126 budget requests, which informed our district needs statement. They were identified by subgroups within the committee, which were within 7 topic areas as per the guidelines of the Department of City Planning. The requests were identified in 3 ways. 1, through inbounds directly to the committee, 2, from past requests that were unfulfilled last year, and 3 in direct outreach from our committee members to organizations and agencies. Once we compiled this comprehensive list of potential requests, we sat together as a committee and identified any potential gaps that might exist based on community feedback that we had received in the past year. And then prioritized each of these budget items based within each of the agencies that they were most relevant to. All of the committee's effort led into this consolidated statement of district needs. Our top 3 issues that are cross-functional across all of the topic areas and all of the agencies this year were identified as homelessness, economic recovery, and affordable housing as our highest priority policy needs. But we do have an additional 7 top priority needs that fall under each of the topic areas as governed by the Department of City Planning. Some of these include crime prevention, cleanliness, education, access to facilities, which you can read more in detail in the full statement. We'll just take a pause there. Any questions?
Sure. To start, any conflicts? Any questions? Okay.
No questions.
No questions. Any comments? Okay, let's take this to a vote.
Flocador.
Yes.
Chu. Bilal. Ellington. Yes. Frizz.
Yes.
Gashao.
Yes.
Greeley.
Yes.
Harris. Hirschberg. Hutton.
Yes.
Kavak.
Yes.
Kerwin.
Yes.
Lavengia. Miller.
Yes.
Nazaro.
Yes.
Nye. Oh, yeah. Majadovic. Nye. Rivas.
Yes.
Ricardo.
Yes.
Roland.
Yes.
Shapiro David. Shapiro Todd.
Yes.
Sigmund.
Yes.
Southworth.
Yes.
Takahashi Rio. Sondon.
Yes.
Vikram.
Yes.
Witzke.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zolkowitz. Passes is approved.
Thank you very much. All right, now I will open up the floor for any new business. Any new business? Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know if this is.
I'm not sure if this is a point of order or just new business. It was something was said before, and I guess if it doesn't go through point of order, we follow Robert's Rules of Order, right?
Correct, yes.
So I guess, are we allowed to motion for unanimous consent?
So we are not currently allowed by our bylaws to motion for unanimous consent. That is something, if you were a careful reader of our the amendments that we'll be voting on next month, will be allowed by that, but currently, no, we cannot.
Okay, I didn't know. That's why it's probably more of a point of order.
Okay. Just in time for new business. Councilmember, would you like to address the board?
Can I take them while we're waiting for Gail to come up?
In the corner over there. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
I just wanted to announce this month's free tour, a week from yesterday on the 20th of November. Those of you who would like to find out how come the Garment Center arrived here where it is today, you will find out on that tour. You'll find out about all the empty spaces, why they're empty in the showrooms, and all kinds of important information about this area, which is part of our Community District Board number 5. So I urge you to come next, what did I say, Wednesday, week from yesterday, 10:30 at the button. Does everybody know where the big yellow button is? If you don't live in the area. Shape up.
Thank you, Mike.
I know where the button is. Thank you. A few things. First of all, the city of Yes, which you're very familiar with, will be discussed and voted on fairly soon in the city council. So your input has been very helpful. I also want to say that in terms of participatory budgeting, we just were with the administration and our office. So we're working together to have both expense and capital to be considered. It's all on our wonderful newsletter. You can get the information, but we're working hard. And if there are projects in your area that you want us to consider, please let us know, because we do take them very, very seriously. We want to mention that I just passed a bill in the council. It's supported by the mayor that says large parks have to compost. You may know that Riverside Park does it, but other parks don't. It all goes to the landfill. So now in the next 3 or 4 years, over a set period, all 5 boroughs will have to compost in the parks, which is a big deal for us, I'm concerned. There was a very controversial bill that did pass in the city council about broker fees. I'm sure you followed it. If you have questions, let me know. I assume it'll work, that hopefully the cost of renting will go down. It's not clear, to be honest with you, but let's see what happens. If you have any input and you hear anything, please let me know. We also are, concerned and working on, I continue to close the unlicensed cannabis stores. I think we've got almost all of them now closed. I know I have one left on 72nd Street. But in the past, there was no place to indicate any complaint to 311. So we are going to be passing a bill that enables people to complain to 311. It used to go right to the sheriff. I like the sheriff, but he didn't share the data. So that's not helpful. So just so you know, that will be a minor issue, but it helps. And we're also working on the enforcement of unlicensed, illicit cannabis in terms of the vaping issue, and making sure that those issues are also addressed in a 311 sense. We're working on trees. We have lots of forums coming up to take care of your trees, because we get them planted and nobody takes care of them, and that's a problem. The hotel licensing bill passed, also very controversial, but I have to give Julie Manning credit, because in the end, both the smaller hotels, the big hotels, and the union were all supportive, more or less, of that bill. That was a big deal. We have tree care clinics coming up. We always have housing clinics ongoing. And then we're going to have Narcan in January, a town hall in February, and a book fair also in January, because we continue to collect for other migrant families, both clothing and books. I would say that the issue 2 of public safety, mental health, and all the just quality of life continues to be number 1, including the e-bikes. And so we're trying really hard. I think and I know how upset people are generally. I want to thank your amazing district manager. How in hell's name somebody got a outdoor holiday event, small stores. When I asked DOT, it's not my problem. I asked DOB, it's not my problem. How the hell did this thing end up in that location? It's like a miracle of craziness. So we're trying to figure that out. Just one example in the big city of New York. How in the world did they get this permit? Or did they not get a permit? It's not clear. We continue to try to find out. We've had lots of senior forums for technology. They love it. They show up, and they're ongoing. Thank you very much, Community Board number 5.
Thank you very much. Do you have time for questions? Or?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
only have 3 more events. It's no problem.
Oh, well, great. We'll start with Zool, and then Todd, and then Nancy. Yeah, here, take this one. It's on.
Gail, is it the case that there was a lawsuit brought against the sheriff for about the would you talk about that?
The issue with the sheriff was the cash. There are two issues. One is we had a hearing. I don't know what happened to it exactly, but it's not a lawsuit, but it is not completely clear. Not that it went in his pocket at all, but who is responsible for all of that cash from the illegal shops, whether it's the police department or the sheriff's, number one. Number two, the other issue is you go to oath, you are shut down. You go to oath, you protest. Oath, in many cases, says, you're right, shut it down. But in some cases, they say the paperwork is wrong. They didn't really have cannabis, it was illegal, etc. I would think that that administrative law judge, some of you may be ALJs, would be right. Don't shut it down because things weren't done properly. The sheriff maintains that he has the right to close it down, whereas oath says keep it open. So that's an ongoing issue. That's in court because the people who have been shut down, who say illegally shut down, are very upset. So that's the lawsuit that's being discussed right now. I must admit, from my perspective, if oath says keep it open, I feel that should happen, even though I want it closed. But if it's not done properly, or maybe it wasn't done, then so that's what's going on.
Yes, my question was the same, and you've answered it quite competently. But Gail, how big an impact do you think that case and what's going on will have on the active enforcement efforts? I sit along with Catherine on our committee, and what we've seen the last few months has made such a big difference. I'd hate to think that this is going to throw sand in the gears, and if it does, what can the city council do to remedy this?
I'm afraid some of it has to go to the state and not to the city because that's a state law, as you know. So we're paying close attention, working with State Senator Liz Krueger as an example to see if there have to be changes on the state level to make sure that they stay closed. So I can't answer your question specifically, but I'm very aware of it.
Thank you. And Nancy, do you have a question? And if so, can you use a mic, please?
You mentioned small shops. I didn't understand what that issue is.
Well, no, I was talking about the smoke shops.
Oh, smoke shops.
Yes, they're small, but they're smoke.
You were going very fast.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to, 'cause I know you want to go home.
But we want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I want to go to 3 more events too. I'm just dying to go to 3 more events. Yuck.
Well, then in that
I'd rather
case-
be here, really. I said into the mic the other day, I'm the only human being who really loves community board meetings, really, the only one. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. All right, any other new business?
Yes.
Okay.
Just going to follow Michael's example and make a public service announcement myself. The first production of our new theater company, the Rising, the Talkback Theater, showcasing Reap What You Sow, Don't Lose Heart this weekend, Saturday at 7, Sunday at 4. We're filling up. Please take a flyer if you like. Thank you.
Any other new business? All right, thank you, everyone. Next, we have the public session. Are there any speakers either in the room or online who would like to speak? As a reminder, at this time, any comment should be about a topic that was not covered during the meeting and that they did not speak to the board about during the public hearing. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand, either in person or virtually. All right, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.